pleasure to introduce our next keynote speaker today. All the way from Kununurra has come a long way to visit and share with us, Natasha Short. Natasha has spent the past 25 years working within community development, focusing on social improvements for Indigenous people. Much of Natasha's work has been around mentoring, leadership development, organising and speaking at women's events. Like today. How lucky we are to have her. It is my honour to welcome to the stage to share her journey, wisdom and inspiration with you, Natasha Short.
Just playing a video.
You might find me on the back road of the Kimberley. You might see me making campfires by the creek. Why don't you worry if I'm walking alone? I'll be home in a week. Yeah, this is the land where I was born. Now the days are over where the old ones used to roll across the old river another side, where the sand that drives on through the night until the yellow morning light. You might find me on the back roads of the Kimberley. You might see me making campfires by the creek. But don't you worry if I'm walking alone, I'll be home in a week. Yeah, this is the land where I was born. When I drive through this countryside, I still wonder how the people lived on this land. From the ranges and gorges across desert plains to the ocean where the rivers run wild. You might find me on the back roads of the Kimberley. You might see me making campfires by the creek. But don't you worry if I'm walking alone, I'll be home in a week. Yeah, this is the land where I was born. Yeah, this is the land where I was born.
Thank you. G'day, Jana Nurringers. G'day, ladies. And thank you very much for an opportunity of being here with you in beautiful Albany today. I arrived yesterday and I've got friends in town, and I spoke to one yesterday and she said, "You brought the warm weather with you." I said, "I'm rugged up. I don't know what you're talking about." Okay? I've just come from 45 degrees. So, yeah, here we go. So, my name's Natasha Short. International Women's Day 2024. What a fantastic theme. Inspire inclusion. How fantastic. Hey, count her in, invest in women, accelerate progress. And that's what I've been doing for probably most of my life, because that's my life's work. And so I've spent the last 25 years in community development, and about 6 years ago, a good friend of mine came over and said, "Tash, I think you should stop working hard for other people and start working hard for yourself and set up your own consultancy business." It's probably the best piece of advice that I've ever been given. And so I set up Kimberley Geargas in 2018. So at the end of this year, I'll be 6 years in business, and I do what I love, and I love what I do. Okay, I'm very passionate about the work that I do. And I set up Kimberley Geargas. It means birds in my language, and it's a metaphor for the fact that I'm a collective of women. You know, birds, women. So those are not angry birds. We're beautiful birds. All right. So in my women, I thought, in my community, I thought the women that I know here are the backbone of our communities. And of course, I'm of Indigenous heritage. So I've gone to my Aboriginal community and I've said to the most excellent women that I know, the women of high repute, the women of high excellence, the women of high caliber, and I've said, please join me together, and let's be a collective of women that does fantastic work in our community. And they said, absolutely, we'll follow you, we'll come along with you for the journey. And so I was very blessed and privileged to have those women come alongside of me, set up Kimberley Birds, and it was to amplify Indigenous women's voices, it was to promote Indigenous culture, and it was to establish more Indigenous-led female businesses. And I'm very pleased to say I'm staying true to my mandate and my calling and my life's work. So here's a sample of some of the projects that I've done over the last 6 years. It's a very small sample of my projects. So Mugandi Makers, Mugandi in my language means tomorrow, and it's Kimberley Indigenous women building wealth through business. I have over 100 Kimberley Indigenous women as my members across the Kimberley region. And that's a partnership that I have created between myself and Menzies Foundation and Good Return. So they've got support through philanthropy to invest in women in business because we're about economic inclusion, aren't we? In the past, Aboriginal people have been excluded from the economy. It's called indentured labour because our Prime Minister doesn't want to say slavery. Okay? So we've come from no economic background and we want to turn the tables on that. Then we've got the No More Humbug, which was reducing Aboriginal financial elder abuse in the Kimberley. And that's going on very prevalently, and I think, unfortunately, right across the whole world, we've got elder abuse going on. Because our society is not honouring older people, and that's a real shame. I was at the airport about 2 weeks ago. I was flying from from Perth to Kununurra, and I helped to check in an 85-year-old lady that was going on a cruise by herself. She wobbled as she was checking in. I thought that's not honouring old people. Honour older women in your community. If I see someone who's 50, 60, 70, and they're making a contribution, they need to be served. They need to be honoured, okay? And one day, guess what? We're going to be the 70-year-old. So you want to make sure you're looking after these mob because you're the next one in line, okay? Welcome to the Kimberley is one of the most important packs, resources that I've created in 6 years. It's basically a cultural induction into the Kimberley region and to Aboriginal people and to our past history. Because unfortunately, people aren't talking about it a whole lot in regards to the impacts of colonisation and how those things still manifest today. And people are not knowing enough about the history and the culture of the people where they're living and working. And that's incredibly important when you go into a new place, that you get to know who's there and those local people. As I've travelled around the world, when I go somewhere, I never have big opinions about how things should be done in a place. I always just listen. Why would we go somewhere and be so arrogant about it? Why would we go somewhere and believe that we have a degree and so somehow we're going to know the answers for the people? Now, Marty just talked about, she's sitting in a wheelchair and the toilet is not suitable to her. And that's so funny that she should say that because I'm doing so much travelling and I'm in public toilets, I go into some of them and I thought, someone has actually thought about the design of this. It's good. And then sometimes you go, no one has even given a damn about the end user here. Isn't it so true? Where is the stinking common sense? That's what my mother used to say, use your stinking common sense. When you do something, think about what's the end product, think about the end user, isn't it? So definitely, people, if you're building bathrooms, and you know someone who's building bathrooms, just say, come on. Come in here and think about, if this is going to be good. Like my friend Dinah says, hey, the good design is just as, costly as the bad design. Like, just use your brains, So that's welcome to the Kimberley, and we need people to have cultural competency when they're working with mom, because you know why? Because we got trauma. You know that? And I think Kristen mentioned it too, what is it? Fight, flight, or freeze? So we need to have trauma-informed lens and understanding when we are working with human beings. The Kimberly Shiro, Mayor Angela, do you know her?
Not personally, but yeah.
She said, of course, we have heroes in our communities, but let's not forget the Shiros. So I call it Kimberly Shiro, because the ladies I work with, they're Shiros, and they're doing an extraordinary amount of work in our communities. And so Good Return funded me to do a whole bunch of podcasts. You can hear that on Spotify or Apple iTunes, Kimberly Shiro. And last year I did Yarning Business, another series, talking with Albany women in my community about the importance of economic independence. And to Sally's point, one of our Kimberley women, Albany women, Katina Law, is the first Indigenous woman to lead an ASX-listed company.
Ooh.
Go Kimberley! Down the bottom here, we've got the ladies. This was on my country, on Jaru country. Ngaringas, meaning women in business and leadership. And so they're about those ladies coming together and talking about where are we going to as a people, where are we going to as a society, and how do we get the power back in our hands and be self-determined, and self-empowered. So I've done a few of those camps. They've been funded by Indigenous Business Australia. Indigenous Business Australia also funded the Wealth for Purpose, which was funding that allowed me to give support to 40 Kimberley Aboriginal women to have access to a qualified financial counsellor and have personal one-on-one sessions about how do they get their finances in order. So that was a fantastic service. And what I tend to find in my community is that a lot of these services are to the deficit. They're delivered right down the bottom. And if you've got it half together, if you're half motivated, if you're an action taker, if you're wanting to progress, there's not really a whole lot of support for you. You're kind of on your own. And I think something needs to change there, We need to have services and supports for people who are the triers, who are the people who are the go-getters, who want to get out there and make something good. That podcast series that I did, I transcribed those podcasts and I created a magazine called Kimberley Shiro's and Not So Secret Women's Business. I said not so secret because in Aboriginal culture, we do have secret women's business, but this is commercial business. So we want everyone to know about it. And so the stories from those podcasts were transcribed, and that was a magazine that was produced really to honour women in my community and to tell their stories and to give them a platform. And I'm incredibly proud to do that and to support women to be fantastic because women are. EDSN, basically Early Diversionary Support Network. So in the Kimberley, 100% of our kids in care are Indigenous. And so that's a diversionary network that's been set up by Department of Communities, which Key Assets leads, to divert families away from that system and have parents retain care of their children. Here's the Kimberley region. Over 400,000 square kilometres, about 1/6 of the landmass of Western Australia, just under 40,000 people. Guess how many people live in Albany?
Around 40,000.
Around 40,000. So Albany can fit into the whole of the Kimberley. Isn't that amazing? 40% Indigenous, okay? About between 30 and 40 different language groups. So the people down here, like the Noongar people and the Menang people, and I wish you all the very best. Hey, countrymen, I wish you great success and empowerment for the future as the traditional people of this land. 6 major towns, 2 major centres are Broome and Kununurra. They're separated by about 1,000 k's. 150 Aboriginal communities, 4 local shires, and we've got tourism is big, as the video has just shown you. Did you like that?
Mm-hmm.
The Kimberley seasonal pass is just open, so 50% off all tours now that are booked. And see you somewhere on the back roads of the Kimberley. Here's our language groups. All right, so you find the Kununurra, you want Mirong, Bidjarong country, you drive down towards Turkey Creek and you're going through Gidja country, you arrive in Horse Creek and that's Jaru country, that's where all my mothers were born around there, and then you're entering into Guniandi country, coming into Fitzroy Crossing, you're passing the Walmaderi people, you're arriving in Bunaba country and then you're passing the Nigana country and you're coming into Dugan and Yarra, which is Broome. So you pass about 10 countries just on the main highway. Okay, that's just on the main highway. Alrighty, a bit about you now. Look, nearly about the same population, and about like, so if Albany was a village of 100 people, which is, I reckon, about this room, isn't it? You've got about 3 are Indigenous, but I reckon there's more than 3 blackfellas here. Put your hand up. So you're overrepresented here today. So don't try and take over the show. Don't try and take over. But tell me now, if I throw this back to you, what would you say? What would you say that you love about Albany? You like the cold weather? Yeah. I went to Emu Point yesterday. So beautiful.
Yeah.
Not as beautiful as the Kimberley. Right up there. Right up there. What else? What else do you love about Albany?
How remote it is.
Yeah. So you're like right down the bottom. And we're like, I'm like right at the very top. People think I'm in the Northern Territory. No, we're just, yeah, close to the border, very, very close, but still in WA. Okay, so it's still g'day, WA. What else? Anything else that you love about Albany?
The people.
The people, hey? The place is only about the people. All right? It's the people that make this place fantastic. And look here, 21% of people in Albany volunteer or spend time doing unpaid work. 1 in 5 of you guys are just doing stuff because you're just passionate about change. I reckon you can just give yourself a little clap there. That's fantastic. So, answer this for yourself. What are you doing to make this community of Albany fantastic? What are you doing? What's your value add to this place? Because it's not just about other people carrying the load, right? It's about you bringing your unique talents, gifts, and abilities to make a contribution to this place. And because you're here, you're making this town better. What's your contribution? And I want to suggest that we empower our women, because empowered women empower women, number one. But to empower a woman is to empower a community. So you can make your contributions. You don't ever need to compare yourself to anybody else. You've got one huge advantage. And you know what that is? You don't exist anywhere else in the world. You cannot be found anywhere else in the world. So what you bring to the table, nobody else is bringing to the table. Because guess what? Life has a way of preparing us for whatever job that we've got at that time. You talk to anybody, and wherever they are in life right now, they've had a series of events, or they've had a series of jobs, or a series of experiences that have brought them to that place where they're equipped, even if they still have the imposter syndrome. Okay? But like I said, you earn it. So you learn it till you earn it. Yeah? So you're bringing something really, really special to this place, and all you have to do is unpack your own gift. Unpack what's inside of you to give to this place, and never ever compare yourself or put yourself down. When I think about, women, and they say things like, oh, I'm just a mum. No, that's like the most important job on the planet. You're not just a mum. You're not just this, you're not just that. You say whatever you're doing, and you say it with pride. But you also stay true to your own calling as well, hey? You also stay true and stick within what they call your genius zone. All the work that I do, when I get to the end of every project, I think, how the hell did I do it? Honestly, I'm so exhausted, but I feel like it's a little piece of miracle that's been created. But you know how I've done it? I've done it by engaging so many fantastic women. So many women. And people look at me, they're like, how are you doing all that? they ask me, like, how are you doing so much? I have a group of subcontractors. I have a team of women. I don't need them full time. They don't work for me full time. I just need them for 3 hours here, 5 hours here. One of your ladies here, Diana Henderson, she's one of my subcontractors. She lives right here in Albany. She's prepared this PowerPoint for me today. I didn't prepare it, but you can think that I did. So actions that inspire inclusion. Now, are you inspired by selfish people?
No.
No, nobody is. You inspired by greedy people? Are you inspired by inclusive people? Have you got someone in your head that's just popped into your head now as a role model, as a pin-up girl for inclusion? Because I think about my mum, and my mum was a fantastic leader, and my mum was someone who included people, honestly, and that is a beautiful, beautiful quality. And someone said it earlier today, look, we can be each other's best friends, or we can be each other's worst enemies, because we know to get nasty as well, okay? But let's think about those that inspire us in our community, and they often have inclusion as a part of their characteristics or their qualities, And I say to people, if someone doesn't want to include you at their table, go and build your bloody own.
Yep.
Seriously. Go and build your own table, and you know what's going to happen? The people that you want to work with, birds of a feather, they flock together, and they'll come and sit at your table. And I'm so blessed to have found so many fantastic women that are bringing their talent to the table that I made, and we're doing some amazing, amazing work together, hey? Look at some of them. Where do you see yourself fitting in? Some of these here are spaces. We don't have to do everything. We have to be all things to all people. Just stick to your genius zone. Stick to the things that you love to do, the things that bring you life. If you get stressed out if someone's asked you something and you just feel total and utter stress, well, that's probably not your genius zone. Okay, but if you're relaxed and if you're calm and you're like, that's right in my wheelhouse, I'm really quite comfortable there. If someone asks me to organise an event, I don't break a sweat, I just go and organise it because I've been doing it for so long now. I don't have a problem doing it. But if you want to ask me to cook for everybody in the room, I'm going to break a sweat. So just find your space, okay? We'll do takeaway. We're doing takeaway now.
Sauce.
Okay? Find your space. So I'm so excited to be, being a part of so many of those different elements through different things, like the Mug and the Makers, helping women get into business. And my focus is Aboriginal women because I'm an Aboriginal woman, okay? But I honour all women today, on International Women's Day, and I recognise their enormous contribution and their value to our society. And I thank each and every one of you for what you're doing, not only for your families, but for your wider community and for this great land of Australia. Eh? Leadership stuff, I love working in the space of leadership development, and someone said to me just the other day, you need to go and find those 30-year-olds now and start mentoring them. And that's absolutely true. Every single day when you get to a certain age, you've got to be thinking about who is behind me and who am I handing the mantle over to, right? So none of us are, what's the word? Invincible or irreplaceable or, Yeah, we are going to pass on, and we have to work out who are the next lot of leaders and people behind us who are going to be making those contributions to our community. Yeah? And recruiting, retaining and developing female talent. Of course, I do that through my subcontracting engagement, and that's how I get my work done, okay, through my business. 3 ways to include Aboriginal women. I'm a minority. I come from a minority group. I'm 3% of Australia's population. So as a number, that's probably less than 1 million people. Okay, it's like maybe 850,000 people. So there's about, we can probably use this as a bit of a sample, hey, like maybe 100 people here. So 3% are Indigenous. And what happens with minority groups is there's exhaustion. Okay? Why? Because you have to keep on explaining it to the 97. So the 97 forget that because they're part of the 97. So when you come across minority groups, you have to do some of your own homework. Okay, you gotta go and research a little bit and read up a little bit and try and do a little bit of, digging prior, and then you come and ask people so you don't fatigue them, because the question that you're asking, that person would have been asked 10 times already that week. And they're tired. They're tired of explaining it, all right? Recognize people in your community that are on the outer. Recognize those that are just, maybe not the first ones to get the most attention. People like me, I get a lot of attention because I'm at the front or because I'm leading stuff. I'm visible in my community. But what about the others? How do I amplify their voices? How do I show them? How do I bring them into the limelight? How do I give them some praise and, make them feel good about who they are as well, and the fact that they're irreplaceable, they're important, they're one of a kind, okay? We want to amplify, we want to elevate, we want to promote, okay? Because we want to accelerate progress. Invite those ladies, invite those people on the edges to your table and ask them questions about who they are. Get to know other people from other cultures, people of other persuasions. Get to understand who people are, and you'll learn something. Don't ever think that you know something about other people by just assuming because of what you've read. Go and engage authentically with people. That's my last point. Engage with people. Indigenous businesses, honestly, this is my thing. I do a lot of leadership development and business development with Aboriginal women of the Kimberley region, because that's the space that's going to change things. So there's just over 2,000 businesses across the Kimberley region, and probably about 10% are Indigenous. 10%. But when it comes to reinvesting, Indigenous businesses are unparalleled as far as our reinvestment goes. Because those people that we're reinvesting to, that's our family. Those are our friends. So we have a great, enormous desire to change it more than anybody else. So we are unparalleled. Even though we're 40% minimum of the population of the Kimberley, we're only making up 10% of the businesses, even though we would be the ones that are reinvesting 90% back into our families. So if you want to make a change with your Indigenous people, go and engage them. Go and recognize them. Go and invite them. You've invited me. Thank you. Been lovely. And engage. Engage minority groups, hey? Recognize women from all walks of life, because you know what? At the end of the day, we're all fantastic. Thank you so much. Happy to take any questions.
Okay. Thanks. I love your passion is amazing, and obviously your energy, just phenomenal. This is something that's been on my mind for a while, so I'm going to ask yourself, because you're up here, but also the mob in the room. How do, and coming from a slightly different minority group, which involves a rainbow, there's always there's always this, how do you be an ally, perhaps, and not culturally appropriate things? So there's this real movement at the moment with your shoes are phenomenal.
Yes.
The dot painting and the artwork and things. And I myself, I have an amazing set of bathers that this artwork is phenomenal. It's Indigenous art, and I tried to do the research and made sure the funds were going back to an Indigenous artist. But I do at times wear it and think, do the Noongar people think that I'm a dickhead? and no, that's a genuine question, because
I think they're very happy for you to wear it. Yeah.
But so I'd be curious to know from yourself and from the mob here, like, how do we other white, modulars, support without insulting the cultural heritage?
Look, I think you just being aware of it, and being sensitive to it. Okay, you're sincere, obviously. To ask the question in the first place says that you're sincere. So for Aboriginal businesses that are doing those things, they don't just want Aboriginal mobs to wear them, because we're 3% of the population. We need the allies. to buy those products and wear those. I'm wearing this from some other woman's country. She's from Queensland, you know. So there is no issue with that. But any of the black ones at the back can help me out if they want.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome.
It's a privilege, she's saying. It's a privilege. Yeah. Thank you for supporting.
Just quickly, if you wear a kimono or a chosa, I'll be very happy with you.
You're all welcome, my friend. Anyone wants to clothe Kylie Douglas? Sponsorships are open now.
I'll wear it all.
I did see at the markets in Kununurra, someone had taken bow knots and carved Pinocchio on it, and I thought, I don't know if that quite fits. You know what I mean? Like, there's some boundaries there. Like Pinocchio does not belong on Boab, Boabs, I don't think. But yeah, people can do whatever they want, I suppose. Hit me. You know what I did? Because I'm Daru, and I come 400k south of Kununurra. But I've been living in Kununurra for a long time. My parents moved there back in the 80s, early 80s, so I grew up in Kununurra. But I went to the local elders of Kununurra, and I said, I'm starting a business. I don't have to do this, okay? I don't have to do this. But I went there and I said, do you give me permission to run my own consultancy business on your country here? And they said, yeah, you can. So that was a nice way forward for me. It would have been a bit of a problem if they said no. I don't know what I would have done there. It would have been a bit of a problem. But I did that. I extended that courtesy, right? So that's just a nice protocol for me to follow and just say, look, I'm promoting your women as well. You know, the Mirrawong get your own people, your goalings. They say goalings for the word woman. I say Ngarringas for women. Yeah.
I think further on that last topic, we put the other question because it, for engaging and all that sort of stuff. I think us as women going forward, that's what everybody needs to do.
Yeah.
Don't be frightened, because like I said, everyone's skinny, and then you know, you're on a gripping journey. So I think African people have set themselves up for too long. Me and myself, probably in the first, but at the end of the day,
Yeah.
we need to make changes.
Yeah, we want to make changes.
So we can start with us, and we can get more breaking through life, and we can do what we would never have this in the beginning. So I think now, all you need is still on the road. But with white women in Australia, we actually still find a way open to do things about it. On the internet, we continue.
Yeah.
It's not us, it's we.
It's we. That's right. That's exactly right. It's correct. Any other questions?